Welcome to Double Fries NOSLAW. It is Sunday afternoon, Sunday evening. Sorry that we're a little bit late here. I think Harlan, if you could switch over to the double. I think Richie just jumped in with us. Hopefully you guys are having a good Sunday. I'm not much for props, but shout out to the GOAT. Shout out to the GOAT for winning the World Cup today. Hopefully you guys watched that. I know this is a football podcast, so we won't go super deep into soccer on this, but shout out the GOAT. Shout out Messi for getting his World Cup. And man, honestly, I know this is football, so I'll shut up after this, but really one of the most fun, exciting matches I've ever seen in any sport. Let's get after it. Double Fries, no slaw. We're using a little bit of a new system today, so hopefully Richie will join us here in just a minute. I know Richie was on. I'm waiting for Harlan to maybe. We'll keep rolling here. Harlan just told me some technical difficulties on the back end, but we'll keep that going and figure out what's up on that end. Do us a favor if you're watching, like, subscribe, share, all of those things. Really appreciate you guys here with us. Sorry we're late again. Again, new technology, trying to improve some things and trying to bring you guys a little bit of an upgrade on a couple of things. So thanks for your tuning in. Thanks for your support. Double Fries No Slaw brought to you by Guthrie's in Tallahassee. You can visit both their locations at 1818 West Tennessee Street and 2550 North Monroe. Also, big shout out to Gramco. Gramco has a sister company called Satividal, S-A-T-I-V. Let me make sure that I don't mess that up. But just before I tell you, let's see here. Satividal, S-A-T-I-V-I-D-O-L. You can go to satividal.com. They have a bunch of CBD products. I ran today, the most I've ever run in my life. I ran like 8 miles, and I am dying. I am sore. I use their Satividal CBD roll-on gel all over, like just everywhere that I could rub that stuff. So I'm feeling a little bit better thanks to that. That's not like a shout-out for me running, but a little bit of one. So appreciate you guys for tuning in, hanging out. You can use code DFNS25 at satividal.com or thegramco.com if you're looking for your Delta 8 fix, whether it be gummies, edibles, or whatever. Let's jump into it. Big recruiting weekend. Appreciate Gramco. Appreciate Guthrie's. We'll shout out Garnet and Gold here in just a little bit, but appreciate you guys for tuning in. Make sure you like, subscribe, and share the video. Always appreciated. Big recruiting weekend for Florida State with a bunch of recruits on campus. I think we got Richie now, so good stuff there. Harlan, if you can get our bar there down on the bottom back updated, we should be good to go and rolling at full steam now. Big recruiting weekend with a bunch of guys on campus. Florida State trying to make some inroads with guys that signing day's coming on Wednesday, trying to lock some things down and seal some things off. We'll address this and won't let there be an elephant in the room for a 30-minute podcast for the entire 30 minutes. A little disappointing to see that Keldrick Falk right now is at Auburn. At the end of the day, he's a grown kid. He can do whatever he wants, so I don't really care about that. But a little disappointing that, you kind of thought that Florida State might be in the clear there and might be good to go since Keldrick Falk did visit Tallahassee this weekend. The fact that he is in Auburn right now, at Auburn, not really something that I think is a great sign for Florida State. I really think that they needed to get that last visit. Auburn's pretty bought in on the NIL world. And so I think that that's a little worrisome. Actually, I'd raise that up to really worrisome at this point. I'd probably throw that up to like I don't know. Auburn getting the last visit probably makes me think that they very well may be his leader. Now, I don't know if he can take a full visit because of how the dead period's about to work and things like that. So that could come to FSU's kind of saving grace at the last second, but not great news with your top edge target now visiting an in-state school for him. He's from Alabama, and it'll be pretty disappointing if Florida State loses out on their top edge target back-to-back years. I think they've got a lot of things going very positively for them. I think that the Noles are in a good position in a lot of areas, but I think that would be a pretty massive miss at this point. Richie, how you doing? Thoughts on Keldrick Falk in a late visit to Auburn right now?
Yeah, not great, TJ. Yeah, first of all, yeah, man, that game was massive. Like, that was ridiculous today earlier. Argentina game. Great for Messi to get his World Cup finally. Did not see it coming that way, but yeah, Keldrick Falk going to Auburn. That's an issue, right? There's no other way to put it. When he said he was coming to Florida State for an unofficial visit, that was a huge deal, right? Because he's coming to Florida State, Tallahassee on his own dime, and I thought it was a done deal. And now Noles 247 2 hours ago drops the nugget that he was visiting Auburn, and that's a big issue. And I don't know, it makes me not feel great about him, right? Because he is a massive need. He's one of our top recruits, not just by star ranking, but by position of need. You need to stack those edge rushers when it comes to the defensive end, and I don't know, man. I don't feel good about it. Like you kind of said, it's an issue, and hopefully Florida State can still seal the deal. But for him to show up at Auburn on a Sunday, that's an issue, in my opinion.
Yeah, he was on. He was on FSU's campus this weekend, and closers close. And at the end of the day, kids can take visits, and it certainly isn't a done deal that he's definitely gone or anything else like that. I think that you'll like your chances better if you do have the last visit. But a kid that at the end of the day has flirted a ton with other programs and other schools, had to shut down a Tennessee visit earlier this year, had to fight off Auburn for a visit this weekend, and now he still is going to Auburn. So a kid that has, flirted around at different places and you'd really like to keep, but at the end of the day, is what Florida State has done. Is it going to be enough? I don't know. We'll get news and we'll hear how that visit went. His thoughts after FSU's visit were really good, and so you like to hear that, but then all of a sudden he does show up in Auburn, so who knows if that visit really went as well as we think it did. So anyway, I've got that up on a concern level pretty high. I don't know. I'd say probably 50-50 to keep him in the class right now. Maybe that's just being super pessimistic and in knowing what has happened the last couple of years. Love to be wrong there. Love for that not to be the case. But I think that's certainly worrisome, and we'll kind of see how that goes. We'll certainly keep it updated, and as new developments come, or as new things come out, we'll try and let you know as that goes along. Richie, I want to talk about this. There are some kids on campus and that have visited other places, and so let's go quickly, kind of around the horn, kind of get some thoughts. Edwin Joseph's a guy that Florida State is still pretty all in on. That'd be an interesting one to see how that shakes out, how they're able, and if they're able to pull him in. But moving on from him, that's just kind of one that we wanted to mention briefly. Chris Otto is a 3-star offensive lineman that Florida State really, really likes. He's a wrestler as well. And it sounds like he's absolutely shutting it down. Hasn't made a decision, but this is one that the ball is in FSU's court, and hopefully they can close on. Feel good about Otto. Feel good about Florida State. Ended up landing his commitment on signing day.
Yeah, I think that's a big one, like you mentioned, and I think with Alex Atkins, I think that's an easy sell, right? Like, he's done a great job since he's been here. I don't know how long Alex Atkins will be at Florida State. Probably not next year, if I had to guess. He's probably going to get that head coaching job offer somewhere. But he's done a phenomenal job, and I don't care about stars when it comes to the offensive line with Alex Atkins, because he's done a phenomenal job identifying talent and finding the right guys to come here, to where I'm not worried about the offensive line as long as he's here. And like I said, it probably won't be much longer, but that's definitely a guy that I love, man. And if he does come to Florida State, I think that's a huge pickup for us, because you just need to throw numbers at that position, right? We talk about any position you want, but offensive line, you definitely just have to throw numbers at the body, or numbers at the position. And Chris Otto's a guy that I love, and hopefully he does make it official and signs at Florida State. How about you, man?
Yeah, I feel good about that one for the Noles. I do think that Florida State's made a good impression on him. He's a guy that Florida State stayed on for quite a while, and I think he will end up signing with and committing to the Noles all kind of in one on Wednesday. Florida State's done a good job with some other guys getting them on campus. Keith Sampson is one that NC State absolutely stayed after. He for all intent purposes, seems like that's kind of a done deal. Getting Hakeem Williams back on campus this weekend, really, really big. Kenton Kirkland's another one. Jabril Rawls. Some guy, Lamont Green Jr., he's one that Florida State fans just absolutely take for granted because he's been committed for so long and because he's a legacy. But I do think Florida State did a good job. Last year you had some things kind of get away from you late. I think the Noles did a better job this time stacking some recruitments kind of towards the end of the year so that you could, for the most part, lock people in. And I do think, as negative as I kind of feel about Falk right now and really don't know how that's going to go down the stretch, I do think for the most part the Noles will sign everybody that's currently committed to their class on Wednesday. And anybody who doesn't sign Wednesday, I think, will end up in the class if Florida State wants them to and continues to pursue. Again, with the exception of Falk. And then I think you do add a couple of guys. You've got a really good shot to add Conrad Hussey. He's currently committed to Penn State. He did visit Miami this weekend, but I still think the Noles have a really, really good shot there. I don't think that's like I don't think that one's like as last minute as the Falk one. I think that, you're going to go head to head with Miami. We'll see what happens. And then Florida State also has a chance to flip Andy Jean, who is a committed to Florida right now. I think that there is a chance that you have both of those guys flip. And then lastly, I think, they feel like they're in a really good spot for Cameron Robinson. I believe he visited South Carolina this weekend, longtime UVA commit. And so we'll kind of see how all of those end up going down the stretch. If you're able to flip those three and you lose Falk, I don't know if that's a net equal, but I guess it makes you feel a little bit better. You really need to start developing those edge rushers in the high school ranks. They've done a great job in the portal with Jermaine, Kier, and Jared. They really need to start developing that position. So they've done a good job with Pat Payton. I really like Lamont Green coming in as well. But Keldrick Falk's a different kind of animal, and losing him, again, not to go back to the negative, but you're going to win some, you're going to lose some. If they do end up losing Falk, getting a few of those other flips on signing day would be pretty big. Andy Jean would kind of be the big one. That's against your rival. I feel good about where they are with Robinson if they push there. And then, Hussey would be the other one. Are you putting any flip predictions just yet?
Now, it's crazy to think, TJ. Remember, it was probably over a year ago we had Lamont Green on this podcast, and he said, my kid is not going to commit anywhere other than Florida State, and now he has, and zero worries about him, so that's an easy one, and I cannot wait to get boots on campus. But yeah, Andy Jean, he's a big one. He's a 4-star on the on-3 and 247 composite. I think he's a guy that definitely can come in. Man, this receiver room is so good and so full right now. If you don't make that flip, it's not a big deal. But the fact that you have a 4-star guy in the fold potentially to flip from your biggest rival, Florida, that's a big deal. And I think Mike Norvell's done a phenomenal job as far as that goes. Like you mentioned, Falk's the big one that we're going to be watching until Wednesday, and hopefully he signs with Florida State. But end of the day, man, I cannot wait for these recruiting services to have a class ranking that combines both portal and high school kids, because Florida State, I think, would be top 8 if you truly combined both right now.
Yeah, what's tough is so 247, I will give them a little shout out, and we give them plenty, but they do have one that combines it, but it just doesn't combine it super, to me, it doesn't combine it super accurately. I was actually looking at it the other day to maybe do a video on where Florida State's class could end up if a couple of things broke the right way. I see some of your comments. We'll answer some questions here in just a minute. But you get like 15 points for somebody like Hakeem Williams, and then you get somebody like Fintrell Cypress, right, who we'll talk about in just a minute, and you get like 3 points. And so I get it because, Hakeem has potentially 3 to 5 years that he could be here. I mean, he's not going to be here 5 years, but a high school kid has between 3 to 5, and a transfer has, 1 to 2 most of the time. So I kind of get it from that perspective, but what you're not counting on is a guy like Dalvin Cook was at Florida State for 3 years, but he really only played and shined for about 2.5 of that. Like you're missing out on some of that development time, and even if you took that down a step, and didn't go with your absolute most elite running back ever. Most guys take like a year and a half to kind of get into the system. And so you don't usually get all 4 years out of anyone anyway, right? Like you typically are getting 2 good years out of anybody. And if you can get 3 good years out of anybody, like that's really elite. But most of the time it takes guys time to develop anyway. And so if they're developing in another college and then you pick them up for your 2 elite years at Florida State, people like Fabo and Jamie Robinson and Jordan Travis, who you'd think will have 2.5 really good years at Florida State, like that. I do agree. I think that they're doing it, but they're not rating them absolutely the most appropriately, and it all kind of needs to be tinkered with. I'm excited to see. We give on 247 a lot of shout-outs. I am excited to see on threes when they combine them, because I think they're kind of cutting edge with some different stuff. So not to take away from 247, but on three does a good job. Okay, Baxter, I would be pretty shocked if Baxter came to FSU. Not getting him on campus this weekend is just kind of a sign of what that is. I do think, as much as you want to hit on in-state talent, as big as Baxter would be, I think if there's any room that you can kind of afford to miss there, I think that you're kind of okay with not hitting on the running back. I mean, you're going to have Trey Benson back. You really like what you've got in Rodney Hill for the years to come. I'm not as concerned there. So nothing on Baxter. A lot of smoke around Marvin Jones Jr. I don't know. I think that Florida State fans need to – people are saying like, oh, he's definitely in the portal after the national championship. Obviously, that's not a lock. Like, people don't typically leave those programs. I mean, they do some, but I probably, until he gets in the portal, I probably wouldn't go crazy there. I know there are a lot of rumors. I've gotten several DMs about that. I've reached out to a couple of people. I think that we need to maybe chill until he actually gets in the portal. So that's my big takeaway there. Is Marvin Jones Jr. going to be the next Justin Fields here?
Yeah, right. Or Deshaun Platt, or whoever you want to call it. Marvin Jones Jr., if he does enter the portal, yeah, I think Florida State's probably the top destination. And if he does not enter the portal, then he's probably not going to end up at Florida State. It's as simple as that. He's someone that I think if he were a recruit last year that we're signing this year, we have a really good chance at him based on the season that we had, going 9-3, beating Florida, beating Miami, beating LSU, probably going to get 10 wins, going to beat Oklahoma. Yeah, he probably does sign Florida State, and I'm not mad at the kid for not picking Florida State at the time, but until he enters the portal, I'm not getting my hopes up. I'll just leave it at that.
I want to, I can't do the pre-portal rumors. I gotta see the kid hit the portal, and then I'm going all in. I do think Florida State is the spot if he hits the portal with what they've done with defensive end transfers, the fact that he's a legacy, the fact that I think outside of a bag he probably wanted to come here. I think I think. Sorry about that, Harlan. You can ignore that. But yeah, I think that'd be big. Hey, let me give a quick shout out to Garnet and Gold. You can go to garnetandgold.com. Listen, Christmas is in 1 week. I can't even guarantee that if you order right now that you'll get your order before Christmas. But if you're in the great state of Florida, which is where we are, you probably will still get it, right? Like they ship really quick. They're very busy right now. I get it. A lot of kids are away. But if you need some last-minute Christmas shopping, you need to get this done quickly. Go to garnetandgold.com. If you use code NOSLAW, that's NOSLAW, you'll save 15% at checkout. They are leaders when it comes to FSU licensed apparel. I was on there the other night doing a little Christmas shopping myself. Actually, I'm redesigning my the back of my room, and so gonna get all that going. Gonna have all that ready. Garnetandgold.com. Use code NOSLAW to save 15% on your order. And I believe all orders over $75 are free shipping. So it doesn't take long to get that up over $75 with those Nike polos and those Columbia shirts that you guys love. So garnetandgold.com, appreciate them, appreciate their support. Okay, so some transfers that I want to talk about just very quickly, and then we'll move on to our what do we have? $100 million facility coming up, so that'll be fun to talk about. Make sure if you're watching, you hit that like, that thumbs up. We've got some stuff that is in the can, ready to go. Some good news coming. Make sure that you don't miss that because you're not subscribed and you haven't enabled in notifications. Fintrell Cypress, the number one player according to On3, visited Florida State, says according to his interviews he could see himself at FSU, not visiting anywhere else. I know that other schools are trying to get him in hard. He was at UCLA, Ohio State, LSU, and Auburn, all pushing really, really hard. But I really like Florida State for Cypress. It goes by Deuce. I think that there's a really, really good chance that they're kind of pushing all their chips in right here. Devontae Brown is a UCF cornerback transfer that ended up picking Miami over the weekend. And I think Florida State liked Brown, but I think they love Cypress. I think Brown probably knew that. I think the Noles knew that they liked Cypress more. So they're pushing all their chips in here to try and get the number one overall transfer prospect, according to On3, an all-ACC guy. He made the second team, Chris Nee of Noles 247, who we do try and give a lot of love. They do great recruiting coverage, and you should go subscribe if you're not. I'm a subscriber. Chris Nee, I think, listening to On the Bench this week, I think he voted him first team. So a really talented kid. Again, I'm a little moody about the Falk stuff, but if Florida State can pick up the number one transfer, I mean, Florida State's trying to load up to make a run in 2023, and Falk will help you in the future. But I push all my eggs into one basket and go Rams on this. But I think Cypress could be massive. So Richie, if we're able to pick him up, I might start telling some more lies.
Yeah, man. You look at the offense, what you've done with Shane Bell and Kyle Morlock, man. If you shore up that defense, that offense is going to be so good. We haven't even talked about it much, but that offense is going to be top 3 in the country, in my opinion, next year. Just with everything you have coming back, you got to shore up the defense if you want to make a playoff run. And I do think this team is capable of making a playoff run, but the defense has to be a part of that. And yeah, man, if you get Cypress, that's a huge deal because your secondary's kind of been a weak link. You don't know if Jamie's coming back, and it's a huge deal that you get Jaron Jones back. That's big. But, man, you get Ventrell Cypress, that's a big deal. And I think that's huge for Florida State. And, again, the fact that we were 3-6 2 years ago, and now we're talking about we're trying to add pieces to make the college football playoff. That's where this program is, and I cannot wait. But I think it's a huge deal, and I do think he ends up a Florida State Seminole, in my opinion. That's no inside info. That's just gut feeling, watching these things happen for a long time.
Yeah, feel really good there. Some other offensive line targets. I know Jeremiah Byers is one that we really, really want. He is making some other visits. I still feel like Florida State's in a decent spot for him. But some other targets that are and were on campus. Miami offensive lineman, again, shout out Zach Blostein of Noles 247. Broke the news that he was on campus. That was Miami's starting left tackle this year. Oh man, I'm blanking on some of the other names. Actually, I have them right here in this. Keandre Jones is another offensive lineman that was on campus this weekend. Keandre Jones played for Auburn this last year and is transferring. And then Casey Roddick is another offensive lineman on campus this weekend. Played for Colorado, and so maybe steal one from Prime. Florida State trying to throw numbers at that offensive line position. I think if they push really hard, Roddick would be theirs. I think that you're probably in a pretty good spot for Keandre Jones too. But I do think Byers is the one that they really, really want, that they'd really, really like to get on campus and get committed. And then on the other side of the ball, one other transfer that was on campus this weekend, Brandon Fisk, who you're kind of going up against Notre Dame and USC, some pretty premier programs there. I think he'd be an excellent addition to this defensive line. You'd really, really like him. I don't really know how I feel about where the Noles stand with him. I think that the Western Michigan University transfer I don't know. It's tough being in battles with USC and Notre Dame, and he's a Midwest. He was at Western Michigan, so Notre Dame's kind of that vibe. So I think that's a tough one. But then also recruited the defensive line in the portal very, very well. We'll see. That's kind of a fingers crossed. I mean, Odell's obviously the GOAT. We'll see what they can pull away there. So how are you feeling on some of these transfers, Richie?
Yeah, it's tough because, again, Florida State is swimming in a different pool this transfer cycle than they were last year, right? They hit on Micah Pittman, they hit on Johnny Wilson, they hit on a lot of these guys that nobody wanted. Now they're going up against schools that everybody wants these kids, especially Fisk. It'll be interesting, and I'm really excited to see what happens. But Florida State, we've kind of become a transfer portal destination, and I think if we continue to do that, Mike can sell it, right? That's not the issue. We can sell that. Hey, you come here, look at Jermaine Johnson, Keir Thomas, Jamie Robinson, Jared Verse. Name all the transfers we've had, and we're competing, but we're competing against different schools right now because, again, Johnny Wilson didn't have any of their offers. Micah Pittman was looking at Oregon State, right? So Florida State has been doing very well in the transfer portal, but the problem is now we're competing against the big dogs, right? And how many of those can you close? And we'll find out. But, man, I really want Fisk, TJ.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think Fisk would be really, really big. Obviously, got Daryl Jackson earlier. We haven't talked about Morlock yet, but we will in just a second. Shout out William McMillan. Appreciate that. $1.99 on the super chat. A thumbs up there. William, I saw earlier you talked a little bit about Atkins. Since you did give that super chat, I'll address that. I do think Atkins has done a good job in the transfer portal with offensive linemen. Bless Harris, Caden Lyles, Dimitri Emmanuel, and Justin Turntine. 2 of those guys got injured, but they were probably going to start this year if they didn't. And then Jazz stepped in, was probably your 6th best offensive lineman this year. He was absolutely detrimental when Robert Scott went down and played some games, played a lot of snaps for you. And Dimitri Emmanuel was really, really good for the Noles. If I'm not mistaken, he was either third team or honorable mention ACC. And so, no, and again, I think Caden Lyles likely, if he doesn't start, he likely plays for you a lot. And Bless Harris was absolutely going to start at right tackle. So, no, I do think Atkins has done it well in the portal. I agree, though. I think that they need to go out and land a couple guys, right? Whether it's Roddick and Keandre, obviously Byers would be the big one. But, so I get what you're saying. Another big shout out to Eddie. Where are we trying to golf in Orlando on game day? So Richie's out here trying to get me to golf while I'm trying to set up a tailgate. I'm going to shout out the tailgate, and then we'll give Richie Harlan. In fact, if you could throw the tailgate link in the description for me, if you get half a second, we'll put that tailgate link in the description here on YouTube down below. It could be just after the podcast. Harlan's got a million things running right now, but We're tailgating. You can go to Eventbrite if you're going to the game. Eventbrite, and just search FSU Oklahoma. Search Cheese It Bowl tailgate, whatever you want. Like it'll pop up there. Come tailgate with us. All you can eat, all you can drink. I did confirm Guthrie's, even though we're not in Tallahassee. Guthrie's will be there. Obviously, our friends at Bay Cannon Beer Co., which I'm enjoying a Bay Cannon
Breaking news on Guthrie's. I didn't even know that yet, TJ.
We just like that in this week. So we will have a great time in Orlando as Florida State looks for their 10th win. Obviously, our friends at Gramco will be there. Bay Cannon will be there. Four Patriots Brewing will be there. Love our partnerships. Love the people that support us. So we try to take care of them, give their products out. So come hang out with us in Orlando. If you need any details on that, you can message me on social media or you can email me, tj@doublefriesnoslaw.com. It's a really easy email to remember. So tj@doublefriesnoslaw.com. All right, Richie, where are you guys golfing?
Yeah, so Harlan and I and a couple listeners will be playing golf at the Rosen Shingle Creek Golf Club. It's an Arnold Palmer design. Beautiful course, about 15, 20 minutes from Camping World Stadium. Me and Harlan have the 8:30 tee time. It's an unofficial event, so feel free to book any tee time you want before or after that. But that is the Shingle Creek Golf Club, and it is a beautiful course. I play there quite regularly, about 2 miles from my house. So I cannot wait, and I'm glad to have everybody come out. And I'm excited for all the listeners that have reached out via DM. But again, Shingle Creek Golf Club, hope to see all y'all there.
So let's roll with a little bit of talk about this football-only facility. I know we're also getting chats about UF losing yesterday. Yeah, we'll definitely talk about that. Again,
Big Miami vibes with that field goal.
Oh my goodness, how embarrassing! That link Harlan just put it in the comments, and then it'll also be in the show notes, the description underneath. Cheez It Bowl Tailgate.eventbrite.com. I have the worst hiccups right now, so I don't know. Sorry that I keep. Hopefully, I'm not burping in you guys' ears. But hey, well over 200 people in here. Started streaming about 30 minutes. That's pretty awesome. Make sure you like the 200 people, and we got like 52 likes. Everybody, do it. Stop what you're doing right now. Scroll down on this live chat and hit the like button. A lot of you guys are in here watching, but the show's free, so the only thing you got to pay is a like. Subscription would be great, or a subscribe would be great too. Hey, $100 million football only facility. Groundbreaking yesterday. Shout out to Chainsaw Al. I saw Judy out there. The absolute go. What if I told you that one man brought back FSU football by himself? It might be Ingram Smith. We'll see. But shout out the groundbreaking yesterday. So really, really cool. I don't know what the exact timeline is on that, Richie. I was kind of slammed yesterday. I was doing a million things and running around with the kids, and a week before Christmas, and things are just nuts. But it's going to be good for Florida State to get that built and get that up. The pictures look phenomenal. I'm actually working on getting Alfred on to chat with him pretty soon about that. He's done interviews though, so no breaking news or anything, but just so that we can chat with him. We always have a good time there. Really, really good stuff there. The biggest takeaway I had was Mike Norvell, and I do think that Norvell is in it for the long haul, and I think that Florida State is excited and invested in Norvell for the long haul. But I love his passion, and I love when he speaks. And I mean, it does sound like a Southern Baptist preacher, and it's amazing. And he is so great. So anyway, really, really, really cool stuff yesterday with the groundbreaking. Excited for that project to continue. Excited for that facility to be up and built and rolling. And I think that's going to be great stuff. It's going to be phenomenal for Florida State football to have its own, kind of spot there and space there. So thoughts on the football only facility, or thoughts on Norvell preaching up on stage, or how, wherever you want to take that is fine with me.
Yeah, I think when you look at the football only facility, it's one of those things. It's one of those things that you need to have, right? You don't have to have it at Florida State, but when recruits are visiting Clemson, Alabama, Florida, all these other schools, you kind of have to have it. So it's a big deal in that aspect, where you cannot have that used to negative recruit against you, right? So it is a big deal. And I do love that they're going to have their own weight room, their own locker room, everything. And honestly, like TJ, we're not exactly a Florida State football podcast. We're kind of a Florida State athletics podcast. It's actually huge news for all other Olympic sports as well, because that opens up the more for all the other Olympic sports. And I think that's a big deal as well. I cannot wait. The renderings look amazing. And again, it's one of those things. It's again, to where you're not having to fight other schools to say, yeah, we don't have this, but now you can say, oh, we have this. And so it's a big deal as far as that goes. So I'm excited for it. I cannot wait. It should be done end of 2023, I believe, but we'll find out. And hopefully, TJ, we can get a VIP tour with Alfred when it's finished here.
Yeah. I'm going to text him right now and just say, hey, let's get going here. Now, I think that's it's going to be awesome. I'm excited to learn more about it. I'm excited to see more, but it's definitely a huge deal. Let's talk about this real quick. Absolutely hilarious. Did you watch the Gators lose yesterday?
So I was not watching the game, but halftime, I think it was only 10-0, I believe. But then, my timeline is going nuts, right? I'm getting tagged, I'm getting DMs and all this stuff, and it's 30-0. So I pull it up. I'm like, let me watch this. And I thought Pat McAfee was hilarious when he just roasted them when they kicked that field goal. Granted, I know it was 4th and 20 something or whatever it was. But again, you're down 30-0. You kick a field goal. Huge Miami vibes against Clemson in Miami's only ACC championship appearance, where they were down 38-0, and on 4th and 1 from the 1 yard line, they kicked the field goal. It was I tweeted out the box score of the two games with Pam from The Office, where it says it's the same picture, right? It was just It's so embarrassing for Florida fans, but man, it made my night. That's for sure.
Yeah, no, that was hilarious. It was a ton of fun to see. They, yeah, they absolutely have. They had a lot of guys out. But what I will say is, if you look at the talent rankings on 247 and take out all the guys they had out, take out Osiris Torrance and take out Anthony Richardson and take out the guy, they still have way more talent than Oregon State. Like, don't play that game with me. ETN is the best player on the field. Jack Miller actually looked good in the first half. They still have Ventrell Miller. Gervon Dexter played in that game. Desmond Watson played in that game. Like, they still have Trey Dean played in that game. I know Florida fans don't like him. So don't play with me on the whole, like, oh, we didn't have any talent out there. They still have more. It's Oregon State. The best, though, was seeing Florida fans. Florida fans had Florida State on their mind while they were getting blown out of that game. But, the best to me is that you fired Dan Mullen, and in the first year after him, you go below 500, just like he did. So either way, hilarious. Glad that they blew it.
Anthony Richardson was not saving them yesterday. He could have played his best game as a Florida Gator, and they still lose that game. That's what's so hilarious about it. So I do not want to hear any excuses about that performance, Florida. You got to own that.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Last thing I have, Richie, I don't know if you have much else, but we'll get out of here. Thank you guys again for tuning in. Thank you guys for watching. Well over 225 people in here now. Hit that like button. Make sure that you're subscribed. Let's get after this. A little news out this week, and we put a video out, but is Destin Hill alive? Like, it sounds like Destin Hill's coming back to Tallahassee. A report said that he's coming in May. It was a guy that works for On3. It wasn't Aaron or anybody else like faking on Twitter. Destin Hill coming back, Richie?
No, and if he does, that's great. And I think it's hilarious. We at the time when Destin Hill was committed and signed with Florida State, we had the worst receiving room in the entire ACC. Like, it wasn't close. Like, we were bad. We might have the best now, or definitely top 2, 3, no question. So we don't need him now. If Mike Norvell wants to bring him in, if he can come in, that's great. I trust Mike Norvell. I'm not going to question any of his roster management decisions. I don't believe he's coming here, and I'd be shocked if he does. If he does, that's awesome. But again, we don't need him at this point, so we'll find out. But I don't know what's been going on with Destin Hill. There's been a ton of rumors and all this and that. It doesn't matter to me. But man, if he does, again, you're just flooding a room with talent, with more talent, which is what Alabama, Georgia, Ohio State, all these elite schools do. So that's an amazing thing. I'm not going to believe it until I see it, though. How about you, man?
Yeah, I will say the specific date, and I said this in a video. I did a video this week about this. The specific date or the specific time frame of May, when there are 2 other times that kids could theoretically come to campus, right? Either being January for early enrollment or spring. A lot of kids, announce kind of a transfer things. Maybe it's just after that. But that has me thinking that whatever Hill has had going on is potentially, whatever that may be, is coming to an end. And there is a kind of a finality of a date around it. And I think when we were getting the reports of like, hey, I think, he's coming at the next signing day, or he's coming in early enrollment, or he's coming in the spring, or now he's coming in the summer, or maybe he'll be here in August. Like, it was just the next thing that was up. So the fact that May was said, like, I don't know, it just seems a little more certain to me. We'll see. I mean, I don't know if he's a take right now for Florida State. They've obviously got a loaded wide receiver room. May depend on what happens here with Andy Jean and some others. Is there some attrition? What happens with Malik McClain? Does he come back? Do other guys consider, hopping out? I think that if I will say this, if Norvell
PWO,
and that's the thing. And with NIL now, like, scholarships don't even matter because you can just NIL the amount of a scholarship and they can come to school. That can be, that's how teams are going to get away around scholarship limits. So I will say this: I trust Norvell, and if he's a take and he comes to Florida State, I don't think that Norvell just hands those out like to be nice. I think that he's truly a take, and that Florida State Mike Norvell and the staff want him here and think he can contribute now or in the future. And so I would gladly welcome him. If he doesn't make it here, I mean, I do hope he does go and be able to play somewhere else. Obviously, I have no clue what's going on. Not into the rumors, not into the, fake outlets that let people spread rumors about what is going on with 18, 19-year-old kids. But I will say that I hope the best for him. I hope he's able to go on and play. I think it'd be a cool story if he could get here and play, kind of a redemption story. I think that'd be neat, but we'll see. I don't have any inside info. We'll see what happens as May rolls around. Maybe we'll get that guy that said that from On3 on to talk about it a little bit. Otherwise, that's all I've got. Richie, you got any shout outs before we get out of here? We went a little long tonight, but that's all right.
No, it was fun. Yeah, man, shout out the PNC Championship. I went out, took the wife to see Tiger and Charlie, Big John, Little John Daly. Nelly Corda had the best swing in the entire tournament that we saw yesterday. Just a phenomenal event, and I love going every year and seeing Tiger and Charlie. It's just kind of special, right? Like everyone has their father-son experience, but to see Tiger just sitting back and basking in the glory of Charlie, that was a lot of fun for me. It reminded me of when my dad used to take me to play golf. Just a really fun event, and I'm glad my wife loves it. We go every year.
How good do you think Charlie can be in?
So here's the thing. Everyone's saying he's going to be the GOAT. Listen, Charlie's not a regular top 5 in local events that he's playing right now. He has a ton of potential. I think he could be a major winner, but again, think of Michael Jordan's son at UCF, right? And LeBron James, Bronny, it's not going to be LeBron. I don't think Charlie is going to be Tiger. Just appreciate the talent that is there. Appreciate Tiger for what he is, and pull for the best for Charlie. I don't know yet. He's still 13 years old. He can be a lot better, but the potential is out of this world. He's not close right now. Not even close.
So you right now, if you were projecting, you'd say just a solid tour pro, is kind of where you see it, or maybe
I think he goes to Stanford like his father did, and I think he probably. There is some politics in golf, right? Especially when your last name is Woods. He'll be on the tour, so he won't have to make the grind that our buddy John Pock is having to make right now on the Korn Ferry Tour. But he's definitely going to have his chance, and he's good enough and talented enough. And if he can keep his head on straight, man, again, potential out of this world. But man, crazy thing. I did not recognize this kid from last year to this year. He's grown like 6 inches. He's bulked up. Like looks like he's in the weight room more than me right now. I'm never in the weight room, by the way. But the guy is tough. But yeah, man, I'm just excited for whatever comes. But I'm just enjoying the ride as it goes right now.
I gave it at the beginning, but I will also give my shout out to. Again, I feel so corny with this, but I needed you guys to see this. I can't wait to buy a World Cup shirt.
What a fun match that was.
Say what?
What a fun match that was. When it was 2-0, my wife's like, can we turn it off now? I'm like, no, let's just wait out. Then Mbappe gets the penalty. Here. Yeah, no, man. I'm glad we did not turn that off. That was phenomenal.
My sports Mount Rushmore is Kobe Bryant, Jameis Winston, Lionel Messi, and then I go back and forth on number 4. There's a little bit of a drop off. I probably say Roger Federer for just kind of a crazy one that you guys maybe not have expected. If it's not Federer, it's probably Derek Brooks, won a national title and a Super Bowl for my team. Those are my 4 to 5 favorite guys. But Messi's in the solid 3. It's Kobe and Jameis and Messi. And then there's who's number 4? So today I had the buddy over. We watched it. It was an all-time. I mean, that was one of the best sporting events I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah.
All-time great, kind of fun moment to watch, one of your idols kind of go off. And
how much money did Argentina's goalkeeper make today?
Oh, my gosh, yeah. He was pretty ridiculous. So, anyway, really good stuff there. That's my shout-out. Hey, guys, make sure – we're wrapping up here. I appreciate everybody that's tuned in. Appreciate everybody that was here. Make sure, Ronaldo's a go. Get that crap off my screen.
Stop that, Harlan.
Make sure, if you say that, you have to super chat that, Harlan. If you were here, if you enjoyed the show, if this was your first time watching, shoot us a like, shoot us a subscription. We've got videos coming out every day this week, especially with signing day dropping. There's going to be a lot of good news for the Noles. Hopefully not as much bad news as it comes down the stretch. But, keep us in your thoughts. Go ahead and subscribe. We will talk to you guys all again soon. Thanks for hanging out. Go Noles.